on one of these talks, panels. We've been pilling people on Ethereum ever since 2021. Back at it again in 2025. Times are different, of course, but I see familiar faces who have been in this industry for a while. I've seen new faces as well. Today we're gonna talk about painful things, happy things, what's Puffer doing to make things happier for Ethereum, and what we're building for the future of Ethereum. So, almost 90% of the things that we built on Puffer up to this day hasn't been built before or invented before. We started by allowing anyone to run an Ethereum validator with a low bond, with low risk. Thanks to our technologies like anti-slashing technologies or any other technology that we developed around this. We extended this opportunity to everyone to participate in restaking. Of course, restaking isn't mature yet. It's not at a stage yet that produces a lot of rewards, but it's an investment for the future, that you need economic security for many applications. We made it accessible to everyone. We made the first permissionless LRT. You can run a hardware, you can run a validator, you can have capital, you do anything, you can participate in this future of restaking. That was just one of the first entry points to solving some of the challenges, opening up Ethereum for more opportunities. But now I wanted to switch to talking about the current stage, where Ethereum is, what happened to it, how can it be better? First questions that I ask is like, what do users want from the infrastructure? What do users want from crypto? What do users want from Ethereum? Who wants to get rich here, right? Everybody. First thing, we want to get rich, but on the way that we want to get rich, we want to have a good user experience. We want to use a chain that's cheap, it's fast, it's secure, and it has enough liquidity on it for us to use it. Someone wants to get rich, someone wants to start gambling and buy a ton of meme coins. They don't want to do a proof spend. They don't want to pay as much as they bought the meme coin for the gas fee, right? And of course, they don't want their chain to switch off for hours. But there are different categories of users. Now we have more sophisticated users that want to use a chain for other reasons. We have quants. We have big traders. We have hedge funds. They want to run trades on this chain, and they want to make sure that it's not only cheap, it's super fast. They want it to be lightning fast. There is another category of users, lenders, borrowers. Right now, leverage is one of the biggest use cases for Ethereum. Why people chose Ethereum? Because it doesn't shut down. If you're doing leverage, if your chain shuts down for 4 hours, say goodbye to our liquidations, right? That's why people choose it. So Ethereum is good as of right now, but it's not great. That's why folks chose alternatives to Ethereum. And we are here to talk about what we can do to solve its existing challenges, to improve it. We've been talking about the idea of based app chains for quite some time. Let me try and create a mental model for you. Some of you have, I think in WeChat is more dominant here, but in America people have Venmos, Stripes, other payment applications. How many of you have asked, is my WeChat on Alibaba cloud versus is it, I don't know, on some other cloud provider right now? Nobody even talks about that. Or my Venmo is on AWS or GCP. Nobody even talks about that. Or my GCP is better than your AWS. That's what we're doing right now. My L1 is better than your L1. We haven't been able to create a user experience for the users to be able to use just an amazing app without having to focus on the underlying infrastructure. Why, of course, like the infra sucks, but we have to build for it to prepare that future. That's where we introduced based app chains. All you need is an account to use an application. You don't need to care about which infrastructure it sits on. All you need to know is like, I am using this future of financial paradigm called Ethereum. It's a network. I have an account on it. I can use applications on it. It's going to be super cheap and it's going to be super fast. We built this based app chain idea based on roll-ups. Each application is going to become its own roll-up. But you guys shouldn't have to worry what bridge to use to go to this roll-up, how to take your assets there, how to bring your assets back, how to withdraw, all these headaches that you do today. You open your wallets, like, I'm going to give an example, OK Wallet. It gives you like 30 chains that you have 30 assets on it. Maybe majority of them are Ethereum L2s, which are quite confusing. You're building a future where you just have to care about an app. And that's what is happening in Puffer. Everything is going to be seamless. You like Aave, it's going to be cheap and fast. It's a based app chain. You don't have to care about which chain the Aave sits on. Is it on Sonium? Is it on Base? I know Base is using more for right now. Let's not get into that. So there are many advantages compared to original like roll-up as a service model that we see a lot of people are doing. I think it took off last year. Everybody came out and said, I want my own roll-up. Created a huge amount of confusion for people. Like folks who wanted to farm sometimes got stuck on the bridges. They have to wait for 7 days to get out of these OP stack chains. So it was quite confusing for a lot of people. And now with this model, you don't have to trust a third-party bridge. You don't have to choose between the wormholes, Connexus, or Everclears right now. You don't have to choose between all these complex third-party bridges that you don't know how they even work. You're in sync with the rest of the network. If, let's say, a UniV4 sits on one of these app chains, it is composable. You can communicate with any other app within Ethereum within itself. Now, you might wonder, how does this even make sense for Puffer? You guys just an LRT. What the fuck are you doing here, right? Very big plan for us going into even venturing through this roll-up landscape was providing accessible native yield to users. As a normal user, oftentimes you want to choose your risk parameter. You want to say, hey, I have a moderate risk appetite, but I want to get the highest yield. And also, I don't want my money to just sit on the chain and do no work for me. That's where the idea of native yield came from. You can be on any application, earn yield on your major assets, ETH, BTC, stable coins, stable USD coins. That's where we wanted to make it accessible across all apps. We wanted to take it in these unified ecosystems of based rollups. That's where the yield that is generated from the unified yield layer, one of the strategies is, for example, restaking. Another strategy can be rebasing the stable coins or anything else across this whole landscape. There are other pieces, of course, for folks who are more technical here. Based rollups take advantage of Ethereum validators. The world computer. That's how we create this sort of composability across applications. The world computer is slow. It hasn't scaled. It syncs every 12 seconds. That's where we introduced the pre-confirmation service to make it faster. So it's an interconnected verticalized infrastructure that introduces unified yield across the whole map. And that's what Puffer is doing. This is sort of like the flow of like basically connections between all of this, how each piece gets connected to each other. We have a bunch of validators that provide pre-confirmations for these based app chains, based rollup in the futures, and then therefore generate more yield. You can visit puffer.fi to check for some numbers or some docs, but we do have quite a big amount of economic security and amount of assets staked on this. Now, recently, of course, everyone is jumping to look into getting into blockchain. Who are they? Institutions. Like, as if you look at the on-chain activity, there is not much inflow of retail users coming to blockchain anymore. Other than, of course, we saw like massive inflows, not really massive, compared to institutions, to meme coins or other aspects in this cycle. Especially thanks to the compliance relaxation in America, more folks are looking into entering this market. They're very new. There is, like, of course, high complexity. Every institution talks about, I would like to have a payment rail based on my bonds, based on my real-world asset bonds, and I would like my users to be able to use it. I basically want to create my own Robinhood on chain. How do I do it? These are the questions that all of the institutions come to us with. It's complex. There's going to be high dependency on these protocols that they work with. If, let's say, someone comes out and say, I can do a rollup. And at the end of the time, it's compliance. Like, it's this biggest monster for any institution, right? Especially in America, like, you want to know where assets come from, where they go. You want to have full control of these. These are the special services that we started working with our partners and providing them. To be able to make decisions by themselves. When an institution makes a decision by themselves, they don't have to rely on us. And that's the important thing that we created. We brought this sort of permissionless participation across the whole map to be able to provide these services. Now, some updates on Puffer, maybe just to wrap up. We've recently announced, again, another innovative thing that we decided to do. Carrots. Everybody probably in this room is scarred by the point systems. Who likes point systems? Raise your hands. All of you hate this thing, right? Everybody is scarred because the incentives don't align. It does create speculation, it does create hype, but the normal users get diluted at the end of these point systems when a protocol launches. It's unknown how many points everybody is going to get. I remember a lot of people were also getting into this point trading scheme. They're like, oh, I have like 2 million points at 10 bill FDV, come buy it from me. These points are going to get diluted like 10 hours later, right? You don't know how many points are going to be printed out of these protocols. So we went on actually doing an ERC20 representation of points. They're capped. There's 100 million carats only. They're going to represent a certain amount of puffer that's going to go out during season 2. This is particularly a good way for protocols that are new like ours that don't have much assets on chain to be able to gain adoption. Also, users know exactly what they have in their hand. Let's say 5 carat is redeemable for 1 puffer at the end of season 2. It's gonna stay like that till the end of time. It's not gonna change. You know exactly your position, you know exactly how much incentives you're getting, and you're not gonna get screwed at the end of the campaign. And we wanted to just like make sure that this becomes a thing that users can use. Of course, the unified vaults are also all launched already. Unified BTC, Unified ETH, Unified USD. These are gonna be the future native yield for all the app chains we're launching. I guess some alpha, we're launching the pre-conf AVS by the end of February. It's going to bring 20 millisecond transactions. Of course, on the DevNet, we hit 3 microsecond transactions. That's arguably 6x faster than what is on Solana right now. So yeah, so stay tuned for some of our more infra drops. I guess backers, investors, advisors, we are backed by some of the biggest institutions in America, Franklin Templeton's F-Prime by Fidelity and Brevin Howard, of course, as well as Coinbase and Binance, in case you just didn't know and you haven't been chilled by this for the 10th time. Yeah, these are just some bonus slides. I can explain how the architecture works. If you guys have any questions, please come to me after the talk. Thank you so much.